Welcome back to The Deep Dive. We're the show that goes through the sources to pull out what really matters for you.
That's right.
And today, we're jumping into some football action. Specifically, a really remarkable game from the FIFA Club World Cup. Real Madrid versus Pachuca. And this wasn't, just your average match. It was one that really defied the odds, showed incredible resilience. Okay, let's unpack this.
Definitely a game worth talking about.
We've looked at a bunch of sports news reports, everything from the pregame predictions to the post-match breakdowns.
Yeah, got a good range of perspectives.
So our mission today, figure out how Real Madrid, with their new coach, Xabi Alonso, managed this huge win when things looked pretty tough. What caught the experts off guard? And maybe what does it hint about the team going forward?
Sounds good. Let's get into it.
Right, so let's paint the picture. This was Real Madrid's second game in Group H, Club World Cup, June 22nd, 2025. Bank of America Stadium, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Big stage.
Huge stage. And apparently over 70,000 fans there. Imagine that energy.
Oh, absolutely. And Real Madrid, they were definitely feeling the pressure coming into this one.
Oh, why is that?
Well, they'd only managed a 1-1 draw against Al Hilal in their first game. So this match against Pachuca, it wasn't just a nice to win. They really needed the victory.
Right, to ease the pressure on Alonso and, well, make sure they got through.
Exactly. Stakes were high right from the start.
And didn't they have a big player missing? The whole Galactico angle, Kylian Mbappe wasn't playing.
That's correct. Yeah, major talking point. Mbappe was out.
Why was he out? Anything serious?
It was an acute case of gastroenteritis, apparently. The good news was he'd already been released from the hospital, seemed to be recovering well.
Okay.
Coach Alonso sounded pretty optimistic about having him back for their next game against Salzburg.
Right. And Mbappe, he was the big summer signing in 24, wasn't he? Scored in the first game, too.
He did. Florentino Perez's big star signing. So, yeah, losing his attacking threat was definitely a worry.
So even with him out, what were the predictions saying? Were Madrid still heavy favorites?
Oh, overwhelmingly so. Like, the odds were around 1-300 for Real Madrid.
Wow. Okay, so you'd have to bet a lot to win a little.
Pretty much. That translates to, what, about a 75% chance of winning, according to the bookies? Some predictions were even calling for like a 3-0 Madrid win.
Really? Even without Mbappe?
Yeah. And there were specific player bets getting attention, too, like people expecting Jude Bellingham to have, more than 2.5 shots and Gonzalo Garcia to score.
Garcia?
Oh,
He's the academy guy who stepped in.
that's him. Which leads us nicely into the lineups, actually.
Okay, so what did the starting 11s look like? How did Alonso set them up?
Right, so Real Madrid went with a 4-1-2-3. Pretty attacking.
Makes sense.
You had Courtois in goal, then Fran Garcia, Dean Huyson, Raul Asensio, and Trent Alexander-Arnold across the back.
Okay.
Tchouaméni was the holding midfielder. Then Güler and Bellingham pushed up ahead of him.
Right. And the front three?
Valverde, Gonzalo Garcia stepping in for Mbappe, and Vinicius Jr.
And Pachuca? What was their approach?
They lined up in a 4-2-3-1, a bit more cautious maybe. Moreno in goal. Rodriguez, Bowerman, Pereira, Gonzalez at the back. Montiel and Pallavicino holding midfield. Then Dominguez, Figueroa, Bautista, and Kennedy behind the main striker, Salomon Rondon.
Got it. So Garcia gets the nod. Alonso showing faith in the youth.
Exactly. And Alonso had actually praised Garcia's contribution in the Al Hilal game, so it wasn't totally out of the blue. He trusted him.
Okay, so the teams are out, the crowd's buzzing, huge expectations on Real Madrid, and then, well, this is where it gets really interesting, doesn't it?
Just 7 minutes in, barely started.
What happened?
Red card, Raul Asensio, sent off.
7 minutes. A defender.
Yep, straight red. Suddenly, Real Madrid are down to 10 men.
Wow. Okay.
For like the entire rest of the game.
Yeah.
Over 80 minutes plus stoppage time.
That's a massive blow, especially for Alonso trying to get his first official win.
Absolutely enormous. A huge tactical challenge, obviously, but also, a massive psychological test. How does the team react? How do you reorganize against a decent Pachuca side who now have a man advantage?
That just sounds incredibly difficult. So how on earth did they pull off a win, let alone score 3 goals?
Well, this is the remarkable part, isn't it? It speaks volumes about their character, their resilience.
So what happened? How did they respond?
Despite being a man down, they found a way. Jude Bellingham got the breakthrough.
When was that?
Around the 35th minute, a really crucial goal.
Yeah, must have settled some nerves.
Definitely. And then, just before halftime, Arda Güler scores again, 43rd minute.
2-0 up at halftime, with 10 men.
Incredible, right? Gave them a vital cushion.
Absolutely. Did they get another?
They did. Federico Valverde added a third in the 70th minute. And apparently he'd missed a penalty earlier too, so bit of redemption for him.
Good for him. Did Pachuca get anything back?
They did manage a consolation goal, yeah.
Yeah.
Salomon Rondon scored for them, but it ended 3-1 to Real Madrid.
3-1 after playing almost the whole game with 10 men. That's quite something.
It really is. And what's fascinating here is how they did it. Reports suggest Alonso reacted super quickly to the red card. Well, they shifted from that attacking 4-1-2-3 almost immediately. Went to more of a compact 4-4-1 shape.
Makes sense, defensively.
Right. Dropped into a disciplined low block, soaked up pressure, and then looked to hit Pachuca fast on the counterattack.
Using the pace they still had.
Exactly. Valverde, Vinicius, relying on those quick breaks. But it wasn't just sitting deep. They still pressed high sometimes, even with 10 men, which shows incredible fitness and belief. That tactical shift, combined with just sheer grit, was key.
Incredible adaptation. So the final score, Real Madrid 3, Pachuca 1. What did that mean for the group standings?
Pretty decisive. That win put Real Madrid top of Group H with 4 points. They secured their spot in the knockout stages.
And for Pachuca?
Unfortunately for them, that loss meant their hopes of progressing were over.
Right. Now, after the game, there was some talk about Vinicius Jr. Some reports suggested he wasn't quite at his best. What did Alonso say?
Yeah, Alonso addressed that. He said Vinicius was doing well, which, sounds okay. But he also acknowledged they want to push him more, to be really decisive. He mentioned Vinicius's unpredictable football, which can be brilliant, but maybe implies needing a bit more consistency.
Interesting nuance there.
It is, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, this whole result, winning like that, it says so much about the team's mentality under Alonso already.
His first official win, too.
His first win, achieved under the most difficult circumstances, playing with 10 men for that long, and not just holding on, but actually winning convincingly. That takes incredible mental strength.
Yeah, it's more than just tactics at that point.
Absolutely. Reports talked about their collective effort, the defensive discipline, staying sharp offensively even when they must have been exhausted and were outnumbered. It shows they can adapt, stay focused under pressure,
Great.
Which is huge for big competitions.
So for you listening, what's the big takeaway here? I mean, for me, this deep dive really highlights how football, especially at this level, can just pivot in an instant.
Yeah, that red card changed everything.
Exactly. And how dealing with setbacks, adapting your strategy, having that mental toughness that can turn what looks like a disaster into, well, a pretty stunning victory. It's not just about the goals, but how they got there.
And this raises an important question, doesn't it? How do teams like Real Madrid actually do that? How do they keep their focus, execute a totally new game plan under that kind of pressure with one less player?
Right.
What does a performance like this really tell us about coaching, leadership within the team, and just the sheer quality needed when things go completely sideways?
Yeah, lots to think about there. And maybe a final thought for you to take away. Can you think of other situations, maybe in sports, maybe even in life, where an early setback, like that red card, just forced a complete change of plans? And how did those stories turn out?
Good question to ponder.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon to explore another complex topic.